All right. Hey, everybody. Let's see. Is the camera rolling here? Oh, Gigi's excited. Gigi wants to be on camera, huh? She loves being on camera. Oh, awesome. Hey, Patrick. Thanks for tuning in. It's really weird. My camera, the way I have it turned, it looked like the video wasn't rolling. So I'm glad to see that it's working and that people are jumping on for my Wellness Wednesday. So I haven't done a Wellness Wednesday in a little bit, and I'm so excited to be doing one. I always love bringing some important health information to you. And what we're going to be talking about tonight is your brain health and how important it is to take care of our brain. I'm sure you probably all know that, but really taking a closer look at brain health and a little bit about maybe why so many people are dealing with issues with their brain nowadays. Hey, Janelle. Hey, Nicholas. Thanks for tuning in. I am going to start off like I usually do. I'd love for you to drop a 1 if you're tuning in live and tell me where you're tuning in from. Like, what location are you tuning in from? What state, town? And also, if you end up tuning into a replay of this, then drop a 2 in the comment box and also where you're tuning in from. So, to get started, brain health. First of all, what all does your brain do for you on a daily basis? I want you to just throw out some comments on this video. Think about what all your brain does for you in a day's time. I'll give you just a little bit of time to think and use your brain to brainstorm what all functions our brain does for us. Hey, Ivy. Hey, Jess. Thanks for tuning in. So just to get you thinking and started with all the functions that our brain does for us, I wrote down quite a few. I wrote down movement. If it wasn't for our brain, we wouldn't be able to move. Think about someone who has had a traumatic brain injury or somebody traumatic brain injury, whether it happened maybe at the time of birth or later in their life. Some people end up having a lot of difficulties with moving different parts of their body, so our brain is certainly important for coordinating movements. It's also very important for planning and organizing, for staying focused. Know anybody? Maybe it's you that has trouble focusing during the day and you feel like you do a lot of things, but you often don't get many things accomplished or completed actually due to challenges with focusing. How about your speech and your language, your communication? As a speech therapist, that's something that I've been able to look closely at with different ages of people from birth to the elderly. And I know all too well what happens to someone if they're having challenges with their brain, their cardiovascular health. I've seen people who were fresh out of having a stroke when I worked in medical speech therapy. And so our speech and language is very much dependent on our brain health. Also, memory. Do you find yourself forgetting what you're doing? You walk into a room and you forget why you went in that room in the first place. If someone asks you what you had for lunch today, are you able to tell them, or do you have a really hard time remembering what's going on? Short-term memory or perhaps long-term memory. You might have trouble with remembering things in the past. Yes, I'm seeing people saying, yes, I can relate to this. I have challenges with some of these things. And yes, certainly, Jess is commenting about family members of hers. Yes, sadly, I can say that there's people in my family that have had strokes and history of cardiovascular problems. And so I think, sadly, it's all too common nowadays. And my mission is to help educate people and to really help you get a closer look at what is leading to these problems in the first place. Why is it so common nowadays? And what can you do about it for yourself and for your loved ones so that you're more empowered about it and not just waiting for it to happen and then trying to, rehabilitate after the fact. If you follow my stuff, you know that I'm all about prevention and not waiting until the last minute and, waiting until it's an emergency to address the health issue. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Alex. Awesome. If you can't stay on the whole time, no problem, Jess. You can tune in later. It'll be a replay on my page, so you can always just pick up where you left off. And so I also said about, memory and learning. Working with children, I often see kids who are having many learning challenges in my speech therapy role. And I can see how frustrated they are and how much, effort it takes for them to do sometimes the most simple things in a school setting or a preschool setting. And so that is a huge, huge issue right now for learning. Holding down a job, for all of us adults. Think about when your brain isn't functioning optimally, are you really able to cut it at your job? And a lot of jobs are extremely demanding nowadays. And so if you're not bringing your A game, sometimes we're not able to stay in the jobs that we have worked so hard to get into in the first place. How about mood? Do you feel like you're on edge a lot? Do you feel like you're ready to bite someone's head off? Anyone relate to that? Where your tolerance is super thin? And that isn't who you want to be, but it's how it is. So that all relates to our brain health and our physical health. Let's see. So anxiety, depression, huge problems in our country. Mental health is a huge, huge issue. And, violence and all the things that we see in the news and the media on a daily basis. So handling stress. We all have it, and I did speak to that a little bit about, are you feeling like you're ready to bite someone's head off because your stress tolerance is low? That's something you need to look at, and you need to really look at your physical health and your mental well-being, your brain health. Hey, another Jess is tuning in. Welcome. So basically, I know from my own experiences when my brain health was not at its best when I was dealing with 7 years of digestive imbalance. I had foggy brain, and I was going about life and functioning only partly with what was going on around me. I was able to get by, I was able to function, but it's not how I wanted to be living. And honestly, once I started feeling a lot better, it felt like someone had taken a veil off of my face. Like I was actually finally able to experience life more fully and see things more clearly and enjoy them more. So such an important thing, and I appreciate now, because of what I went through, how important our brain and our gut health is to our overall health and well-being. So hey Val, thanks for joining me tonight on Wellness Wednesday. I came across a really awesome study that it's a study from Lund University. I hope I'm saying it correctly. It is Swedish, Lund. So a study from Lund University in Sweden, and something really, really awesome, and something that I believe that I have felt for quite some time, but at least now that it's being confirmed more in studies, there is proof of a direct link between our gut microbiome, those bacteria, fungus, yeast, all different lovely creatures that are inhabiting our digestive tract. And when the ones that are good are there, then we have good health. When things that are out of balance, then we end up having trouble. But this study from Sweden has shown a direct link between our gut microbiome and between that and inflammation and Alzheimer's disease. So, do you know anyone who has dementia, Alzheimer's disease? Perhaps, again, you yourself are dealing with changes in your memory, and you might be getting concerned about your brain health. And so this study is really looking at, they've known that there are these plaques, these proteins, basically clumps of proteins that have been found in the brains of people after death who have been studied who had Alzheimer's disease. Now the question becomes, what are these plaques? What are they doing there in the first place? Well, this chronic inflammation is leading to almost like a scarring of the brain. That's how I like to think about it. Scarring of the brain, and you end up with almost like scar tissue, buildup of these proteins outside of the cells in your brain, and they kind of like clog up your brain, and it won't work well anymore. So comment if you've heard of this, if you're familiar with these plaques and this protein buildup in the brain seen in people with Alzheimer's disease. But this study from Lund University in Sweden is showing that there is causation between what our gut looks like, the health of our gut, the level of inflammation in our body, and then how that's contributing to damage in our brain and inflammation in our brain, leading to these plaque deposits. There are also more than 13 studies from Harvard University about our gut and it being the root cause of mental deterioration. So if you haven't heard about this, I wanted to bring light to this. If you are experiencing challenges with any of the things that I mentioned, movement, planning, organizing, focusing, your speech and language, are you having trouble finding words? Are you having trouble communicating sometimes with people? Are you having trouble remembering things? Are you having trouble with your learning? Are you having trouble keeping and holding down your job, keeping up with the demands? Are you feeling very moody? Are you on an emotional roller coaster a lot and you're feeling sometimes awesome and on top of the world, but then feeling like the most depressed, upset person on another day? Are you feeling fearful and anxious a lot? Do you have panic attacks? It could go on and on. There's so many symptoms stemming from inflammation, digestive issues, whether you realize that's where it's stemming from or not. And so if you're really thinking about how this impacts you or maybe how this impacts a family member of yours, I encourage you to reach out to me. If you're wanting to know more, this is piquing your interest and you want to know more about how this works. Like, how is there a relationship between your gut health, inflammation, and the health of your brain and your nervous system? If you're not really sure how much it's impacting you exactly and you're trying to learn more, you would like to know more about it, and most importantly, if you know you're experiencing some symptoms of brain deterioration, inflammation in your brain not working as well as it used to, then I highly encourage you to take action, to reach out to me so that you can help, or I can help you figure out some strategies, some tools for what to do about it. Again, better to be proactive, better to treat this as an urgent issue. It is. You don't want a fire burning in your brain. You don't want inflammation that's happening all day long or much of the day, going on for years and years without there being long-term damage. And so I would only I would only consider myself a good coach if I was blunt and told you that. It's not something to take lightly. Inflammation is something that needs to be addressed. It would be like having a fire burning in your house and saying, I don't have time to deal with that. And then what happens, right? So if you're interested in learning more and scheduling an Upgrade Your Gut consult with me, I would look forward to scheduling that with you and getting more details to you. You can either contact me, message me on Facebook, or comment Gut Upgrade on this video, and I will get in touch with you to be able to support you further. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and take good care of your mind, your body, and your spirit. Until the next Wellness Wednesday, have a blessed week. See ya.